Hey, folks, my guest today is Marcos Kern. He's a Munich-based sports tech company on a mission to make the world more physically active using the power of gamification. If you want to follow along, the website is limb.io. Marcos, you ready to take us to the top?
Absolutely. Always ready to be active.
All right. I feel like the most recent version of this was this like AR Pokemon Go. Everyone who's usually sitting on their couch is now running around towns capturing Pokemon. Is this sort of what you're building here, but at scale?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I love the effect of what happened there because it got people out. It's the same approach. We obviously like to focus on a much more holistic workout. So we really want to make you sweat, not just walk around. And obviously, we want to create a hype that's a little bit more consistent and a little bit more sustainable than just doing it for a couple of weeks.
Who's buying this? Is it consumers or you're selling to sports teams or what?
Well, right now we're very strong in the business to business market. So it's sports teams, clubs, facilities, even kindergartens, a lot of offices. But now we're also launching our B2C console. So it's also going to jump into your living room.
Mm-hmm. But who's paying for this right now, though? Is it mainly B2B?
Yes, mainly B2B because we just launched the new console. It's going to come out probably in February because obviously we have a little bit of delay with the whole S&D crisis. So far right now, we're in 45 countries and it's only B2B, about 500 pre-orders for the console.
Okay, so wait, are you selling a SaaS tool here or is it a physical piece of hardware?
It's a hardware connected with a SaaS.
Ooh, okay. So I love this model because once they install the hardware, they never churn on the SaaS. So let's talk. Just to be clear, do you have any SaaS revenue yet, or your pre-revenue on that side?
No, we have around, I think the annual should be around 45 right now, K in euros. SaaS revenue, but we just started early 2021 to even switch on the SaaS. Before that, it was just lifetime licenses. And yeah, just like you said, it's a hard sell because it's hardware. But so far, we have a retention rate of 100%, so we're happy.
Well, okay. So let me break all this down real quick. So you're doing right now at about $4,000 a month in SaaS revenue, which is about 50,000 United States dollar run rate annually, correct? And you have 500 pre-orders of the hardware.
No, we just started 21, so we have around 6.5K per month right now, actually.
Oh, I
Only.
see. Of SaaS revenue.
Exactly. Because probably around 80% of the systems that we have out there already, they went with a lifetime license. So we just started switching over to SaaS.
How many systems are out installed currently?
Around 600, I guess.
Oh, wow. How much does it cost you to make each of those units?
The production cost depends. The range is pretty good. So the retail price is between, I think the cheapest one is 4.5 grand. The biggest one is around 60 grand, which is full LED. The production cost is always about 70% of that. So we have a 30% margin.
Interesting. That's a massive difference, 4,500 to 60,000. What drives that cost up again?
Well, the smallest one is just what you would put in a classroom, for example. Then we have like complete sets that go into squash courts, and we also have like massive LED walls that you just put outdoors and you let people interact with it. You can swipe a card, you can play, or you can pay with the app and just book it whenever you want.
I see. So what was it like take 600 times all of their retail prices? How much total sales of the hardware to date?
A little bit, obviously, in the beginning, we've been selling at quite other prices. As you know, it was like more like, hey, get it, please. I think right now we're like approaching around the four and a half. No, it must be close to 4.5 million in lifetime revenue, which
Okay.
probably we made 2.5 last year.
And that's just on hardware, right? Not lifetime SaaS stuff.
It's a very small portion of SaaS, but probably
Okay.
like.
Oh, what's going on there, YouTube? Good to see you guys. Now imagine this. You love watching these interviews with SaaS founders, but imagine if we took all of the valuation data out from over 2,807 interviews I've done manually. Saves you a lot of time. Well, we've done this. We've built it into the beautiful interface inside of FounderPath. Check this out. I'll show you how you can access this in a second, but you log in, you connect your Stripe account, you see your valuation real time. You can see what it changed over the past 88 days and even set goals for valuation this year. Now, the secret to valuation is there's many different ways to value a SaaS business. So the reason you're going to see 3 or 4 different valuations inside of your FounderPath dashboard, this is all free by the way, is because depending on who's doing the buying of your SaaS company, you're going to get a different valuation. A VC is going to pay a different valuation. Private equity firm is different. If you're going to do a minority sale, that's different. And if you sell the whole business, that's a different valuation. You can see all those when I hover over here. Right. So the teal is what a VC would pay. Yellow is what private equity. And red is if you sold the whole thing outright. Now, what's cool about this is not built off random data. Again, you guys hear these interviews on YouTube. All these data are built from real-time valuation data points founders share with us on the show. So traction, 1.2 million, seed round, 3.7 raise. They sold 22% of their business. Go in here and filter by the event. Maybe you only want to see companies that have sold the whole business. Well, here are a bunch that have been acquired, the valuation and the multiple. Maybe you're going out right now and you're raising your seed round. Well, go in here and look at all this recent seed deals that went down, what they raised, what valuation they raised at, and what percent that they sold. There's never been a larger data set of SaaS valuations than what you can get now inside of FounderPath, and we're thrilled to bring it to you. All right, we're going to go back to the YouTube video here in a second, but if you want to check this tool out, if you want to jump in and sign up, you can check it out for free to get your valuation at this link, founderpath.com/products/valuations. Or if you go to founderpath.com and hover over products, click on get your valuation here and go ahead and sign up to give it a whirl. Again, all that valuation data live right inside the platform. I hope to see you there. All right, let's jump back into the interview. But we can take that 4.5 million of hardware sales multiplied by 70% cost of goods sold to get your margin of the 30%.
Yes.
Which would be about 1.3 million on 4.5 of total sales.
Yeah. We always have to factor in that in the beginning, obviously creating this hardware, it's not as profitable in the beginning. We're also now bringing up the margin quite much. But at the very beginning, it was obviously much, you sell the first units at a deficit, obviously.
And you did all of that. This is just, you launched in 2020. So your first hardware sale was last year or 2 years ago?
No, we're almost 5 years old now.
Oh, okay.
It took a very long time to develop the tech before we even started going on the market. And it was a very slow start. Hardware is like, to get the first clients took a very long time. And now the last year we've grown 2.9%, 2.9 times the size that we had before. So now it's really starting to show off.
So what year was your first hardware sale?
2017, I think, too.
You sold 2 units in 2017?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, got it. So between 2017 and today, you've done 4.5 million total of hardware sales, which is about 600 units. Does that 4.5 million include the 500 in pre-orders for the 500 new units?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so you've done much more than 4.5 million in revenue if you add the 500 in pre-orders.
Yeah, we have a Kickstarter campaign, so that's where we obviously sold the pre-orders at a quite discounted price, and now there's like every week 4, 5, 6, 9, 10 sometimes coming in.
I see. Interesting. Okay, and what'd you sell it for on the Kickstarter campaign?
Well, the Kickstarter campaign, we started with around $800 to $900, which is also the retail price that we're aiming for. Right now, we had to go up quite a lot because production is insane. So we're now selling it at around 1,400 for the first units at least.
But if you pre-sold a bunch at 600 a pop, let's say just to make the math easy, you sold all 500 at 600 a pop, that's $300,000 in sales. With COVID supply chains changing so rapidly, couldn't you potentially lose money on every one of those pre-sales?
To be honest, on the Kickstarter ones, definitely. Yes, absolutely. We factored that in already in the beginning, and this is also what we're compensating with the new price for. But obviously, the very first batches, when you produce something, you always have to estimate that you're like not making it's economy of scale, like you're always losing money. If we would sell the first 20 units, we would have to charge like $3,000 per system. We're now sending them out actually, which obviously it would be very hard to sell those. So it's always quite an investment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, understood. So let's now. I understand this. Let's now talk about how you're turning on the SaaS revenue. So, how many customers are making up the 6,500 a month right now? You're doing in SaaS revenue.
I'd have to exactly look around that. I think about 60, 70, 80, something like that.
Okay, and just to be clear, they have to have hardware in order to pay for SaaS, right? They can't only pay for SaaS.
No, makes no sense.
Okay. So why would someone buy the hardware? Why would someone buy the hardware and then not pay the SaaS?
They didn't. It was just our choice in the very beginning because people hate in that business, like in the fitness industry and schools, they hate monthly payments. They hate yearly payments. So we always just said, hey, instead of charging them, let's say $99 per month, let's just charge them 1,000 and say that you never have to pay again. So it was like the kind of like cost that we did for just
Yeah,
getting
you're
scale
pulling
in the
10
beginning.
months or 100 months of revenue forward effectively.
Exactly. So, and also for our cash flow, it was amazing because every sale was like, okay, we have a much higher margin. So
yeah.
now
Okay.
we're slowly shifting. Yeah.
No, this story is making complete sense to me. So launch in 2017, you get your first hardware sales first hardware sales in 2017. You launched also that year as well. You wrote the first line of code that year.
Late 2016.
2016. Okay, cool. So first hardware sales, 12 months later, 2017, you did two. Now today, up through this last year, you've done, call it 600 orders that are now out in the wild, 4.5 million total volume. You just added another $300,000 in sales from 500 pre-orders on Kickstarter at $600 a pop. You're still adjusting what your hardware costs will be because supply chain issues with COVID. But what's growing really nicely is you just recently turned on your SaaS revenue with 70-ish customers paying $95 a month for $6,500 a month in monthly recurring revenue. Is that all accurate?
Sort of. We have a range, obviously, for the SaaS, but you're probably pretty close to the common average.
Interesting. Okay, so what's the sales approach now? How are you convincing you change? Now people are paying monthly. How'd you change your sales approach?
To be honest, so far the sales approach is very different because we've never spent any money on advertising. We're very happy that so far the inbound is much more than we can actually do. We're now 32 people. I think we just upgraded to 6 people in sales. Until a couple of months ago, it's only been 3. So far,
But you have 32 people total?
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay. You've raised you've raised capital?
Yes, we did. Surprisingly little so far, but yes.
What's little?
Like we only raised 2.8 over the whole 5 years.
Break down the rounds for me.
That would be because obviously we're not a classic startup. Everybody hates hardware. We started with little tickets here and there, 100, 200, 300. And now last year we just raised about $1 million from the first institutional investors.
Okay. So what would you consider that? Like your seed?
Yeah, you could say seed. It was a little late because but I would say seed. We're now preparing for a big round towards end of the year. So that would have been a seed. So now it's a Series A.
And most folks in their seed are selling 10 to 20% of the business. Is that about what you sold for the $1 million?
Over the whole time, we sold about 35 over the whole process until today.
Okay. So right now, your cap table, investors own 35%. Do you have an ESOP pool set up for your teammates?
Yes, we do.
How do you structure that? Founders always wonder how we set that thing up.
Well, I wonder myself, to be honest. Obviously, it's just we have a couple of people that have been with the company so far. I'm still the only founder. So I still hold the rest of the percentages, and we blocked about 10%, which we now slowly give out to the employees.
I see. So 45% between investors and your ESOP pool, and then you own the others, call it 55%. Great model. Love that. Okay. Talk to me about the hardware side of things. If you could figure out a way to subsidize the hardware and give it away for free, all of a sudden you like really jack up your ability to drive MRR. Have you considered like raising a debt fund or something to facilitate this?
Very smart idea. And this is what we're also working on right now. The pain points to our growth are a little bit different. So it's first of all, we're only working with inbound. So we're structuring a couple of things to optimize that and fully get up to capacity. But we're already preparing to raise some money for our own financing model. So we work with leasing partners and financing partners. But you know how it is, especially like globally. It's very complicated deal sometimes. So it's very hard to find somebody who does a licensing financing deal in Dubai. And then obviously the one making the most money out of it a lot of the times is the bank. So we're already experimenting with giving out systems only for a subscription. So you don't pay, let's say, the $7,000 that you need for a multi-ball, which is a small system for a school. And instead of paying $7,000 and $59 per month for the software, we just tell you, listen, you're going to be paying $299 and you just pay for that forever. So we're experimenting with it. At this point, I think we're not going to take it to the crazy scale because just with the fact that the hardware is so expensive, it would be insane. Like we will need to raise like 25 mil to really scale with that. And in the end, we're not trying to be a bank. So we try to find partners to rather give us this working capital for a certain fee that we can then work with.
Mm-hmm. Can you lend out? I mean, I'm looking at this beautiful thing. It almost looks like futuristic 3D goggles, but it's not. You don't wear it on your face. You put it on the wall and it projects out. Can you lease these out, or you want to keep selling them? Your customers actually own them?
It's a question of the time. In the beginning, obviously, the first movers and the people that want to be sexy and own this, their threshold to actually getting this and having it in their room is really, really high. Obviously, this is what we now want to first take care of, but then obviously we're going to reach to a point where we then have to get into real scale, and then these things, it's like you only rent it, will be highly attractive for people that are not as sold as they are right now. So I think it's probably going to be 1-2 years until we go into models like these, but it's definitely on the list.
Mm-hmm. And just to make sure, like I'm getting this pricing right, I mean, I'm on your lim.io/product right now. This graphic I see, just this projector, it looks like it's about sort of like this big-ish. This thing is how much per month for that's how much does it cost to purchase retail?
Right now it's 1,480 to purchase it. Right now, we're still working with a freemium model. So because also there's only 45 apps on the system, you can already start purchasing stuff like a monthly subscription. But we're still waiting. I think we're now at 1990. We're still waiting till we fill up the app store more, so it actually gets much more interesting. So it's not going to be a model like with a usual Peloton, where you say like, hey, listen, if you buy the hardware and you're not paying this subscription, you can't do anything with it. Because our clients also are families, they're elderly care facilities. They're like, so we try a little bit more of a fairer freemium approach. You can still play if you don't pay. It's just not going to be the premium content, but you still use it. If you want to have the premium content, then you obviously got to do your subscription.
I see. But your cost of goods sold on this model I'm looking at right here, 1480 retail, your cost of goods sold is still about 70% or $1,000. So your margin per sale is about $400.
Not at this time, to be honest. We're planning to go there again with the current crisis right now. It's actually much worse than that. It's like you buy some components and they would normally be like $1.50 and they're like $15.
Wow.
So it's a crazy time to be doing this. Insane. Like, and people just broker stuff, and you buy something and you pay the purchase order and they call you back and like, listen, somebody else wants to have it. Are you also going to be willing to pay double price? You're like, hey guys, we ordered 2,000 units from you. It's sold. We sent you the money. Yeah, I can send the money back, or you pay double. It's the Wild West right now when it comes to hardware.
That is crazy. Okay, interesting. So SaaS growing quickly now. Has any of these 70, 80 customers that are paying the SaaS, have any of them signed up with the hardware and then canceled?
Yeah. So one thing that we're also super happy with, all the hardware comes with a 5-year warranty. So we're very German. Like all the metal parts are like massive stainless steel. Everything's like industry grade. And like, we literally been asked by school operators what happens if kids pee into the sensors, if the sensors can take it. And we're like, yeah, I guess. So every single system that we ever sold.
Some kinky shit over there in Berlin. That's all I have to say. That's weird.
Maybe. So every single system that we sold, none have been returned, and all of them are still active.
Yep. Interesting. Okay. Very cool. Again, you've sold about 35% to investors so far, and you said 2.2 million total.
I'd have to check. I think it was 2.4, 2.6, something like that.
2.4. Okay, cool. So valuation wise, I mean, you could argue it's sort of like a 6 to 11 million valuation, but I predict, as you add on the SaaS component, your valuation will go up. You're planning to raise later this year, you said?
Yes, but we're actually also, because the last time that we raised is quite a while back, so we're aiming at a quite higher valuation.
What valuation are you going to try and raise at, or are you targeting?
Well, we're right now exactly in that phase, so we're going to keep that a secret. But it's
what would make you happy? Maybe it's not what you end up going with, but what would make you happy?
Let's say it this way: low double digits is a good point to be.
Okay, so call it something between like 10 and 30 million bucks, something like that.
Somewhere in that range, maybe.
What do you think you need to get SaaS revenue to raise it a 30 million valuation?
Well, I mean, right now, also our valuation is a little bit different because we're taking a classic SaaS approach. So our valuation would not be fully suitable, because with the hardware, you have such a long-term, but a very, very solid and very predictable. For example, we have a hardware sales quota of around 30% quarter to quarter increase. So there's been some
flip side of that would be much harder to go to market if everyone has to buy a piece of hardware to use your SaaS tool, right? It's a double-edged sword.
Exactly. But so generally, there's also patents. There's also proper technology. We build our own sensors and stuff.
You have
like
patents?
That. Yes.
How many?
Actually, even Six so far, even one in like three different kinds of patents. Two of them already been granted, also in the US. So
how many engineers are on the team?
we have altogether around 12 engineers right now.
Okay, pretty heavy. And do you have your own in-house creative and media people designing these 45 apps and games, or is that do you incentivize the market, the world to build?
A little bit both. So we have our own game development part. So we have 5 game developers. And we also work with, so we also have some revenue share models where other people create apps on our system. So it's like, it is an open platform, but it's more like an app store. Like there's profit shares, but people can actually join very easy and just create cool stuff. So yeah, I think in the long term, it's going to switch quite much. Right now, we're probably building around 70 to 80% of the content that's on the platform comes from us. Mm-hmm. But in the future, we're looking more like at 20 to 80%.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Hey, I love this model. I want to get an update from you in a year, but in the meantime, let's wrap up today with the famous 5. Number 1, favorite business book, Marcos.
Favorite business book. The funny thing is, I think my favorite business book is probably not, I love business books and there's a lot of them that I could recommend, but what I would recommend at this point is probably Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari, which is not a classic business book, but it very well defines the origin of people, why we started forming communities and how people interact with each other and what effect that has, which is the main basis of business, like working together onto something.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
There's a few, not really following or studying. There's a few people that I highly respect for the way that they're doing their decisions, but not really like a...
Okay, no worries. Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building Lim?
For what?
For building the company.
Probably end up with Slack because it's just a nice communication tool. It's not even like a...
Fair.
So many to choose. I don't know.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
Pretty straight with like 5.5, 6.
Okay. And situation, married, single, kids?
Not married, but I have the right woman for it. It just didn't occur right now, but I'm very, very proud father of 1.5-year-old.
Very cool. And how old are you?
And 4 raccoons.
How old are you?
Yes. I'm now 39.
39. Last question. Something you wish you knew when you were 20.
Don't take myself too serious and realize that some things just take time.
Guys, there you have it. Limb.io. They're helping people get active finally in your homes, at your businesses, etc. They sell a little unit for $1,400. You install that piece of hardware, then pay $90 to $95 per month to access all these games you can play with your family. It's taken them many years to get to this level, but they have 600 of these devices installed in the wild today, about $4.5 million in total sales there, where they made an average call of 30% margin. That margin plus $1 million or 2.4 million they raised from outside partners has enabled them to grow that hardware, decrease their costs, launch games on the platform. Now 45 apps available as they look to continue to scale, maybe raising a Series A or maybe late seed later this year at a 10 to 30 million valuation. We'll see what happens. Marcos, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thanks for perfectly summing it up, man. You're a machine. I'm just going to steal that, and that's going to be my pitch.
Thanks, man.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com /Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.